Alright, man.
Out now on all platforms.
The album was an impressive.
That's the final. It's the final part, man. So listen, get us your 200 likes. Just cause.
Get it to 200.
Just cause. It's the last part and we did it. Free the Grim Reaper. Let's get to it.
Body of work, despite its brutal content. It would open in cinematic fashion with an intro track that had a narrator describing the dog-eat-dog environment in the streets of Camden that Suspect hails from. In the verse, Suspect once again references kids' nursery rhymes, comparing his murdered ops to Humpty Dumpty. On the track Final Moments, Suspect seems to poke fun at Culprit and his death, despite his extradition and the outstanding charges. On Freedom's Priceless, Suspect says that he's playing hide and seek with Trident, the organised crime unit of the London Met Police, a game which ironically, by the time the album released, he had duly lost. On the track Z to A, Suspect once again flexes his lyrical abilities, using his verse to make references to things starting with the letter Z and working his way back to A throughout the song, and rapping that despite the fact he was in jail, missing his GCSE examinations in high school, he's still educated enough to write a song with a backwards A to Z structure. It also had the song Caught in the Rain, which went on to become one of Suspect's most streamed tracks. The song had a catchy hook where Suspect raps that he celebrates when his ops die and grieve, and reveling in the fact that he kills people and still makes songs, and bragging about how he hit the charts with a song all about guns, a reference to Double Tap with Fredo, charting at number 73 on the UK singles charts. It also came with gritty bars about his shank plunging in and out of ops' chests, and he would rap Free Armed Response, who was that getaway driver for Culprit's murder, who had already got life in prison, likely not realising that by the time this song was released, he would be facing the very same charges. Ironically later, rapping how he got rid of his phone in an effort not to be tracked, like his co-defendant. In the second verse, he compares himself to Lil Durk, going on to describe his disturbing mindset, saying that he's infatuated with drill and that if you flip his kill switch, he will send people to hell, and claiming that he feels nothing when he does this because the streets turned him into a soldier. The album did somewhat well, at one point being number 12 on the Apple Music top albums, but it did not chart on the official UK albums charts. And despite not attracting mainstream success, the album did become a cult classic amongst UK drill fanatics, with followers on Reddit describing it as the greatest UK drill album of all time. The cult following of Suspect and his legal issues meant that he would rack up millions of spins on the album over the course of 2022. Unconfirmed reports claimed that by December of 2022, the album had sold nearly 11,000 units, with the suggestion that this would be the equivalent of around £100,000. As UK Drill's Snapchat pages joked that he would be able to buy unlimited Oreos and tins of tuna with his commissary. Meanwhile, commenters would suggest that 100,000 goes towards the best available lawyers, as despite achieving glory through music and evading the police for over 2 years, the end result was still Suspect in handcuffs, sitting in jail and awaiting trial for the murder of Culprit. And considering the fact that he had spent the last 2 years believing that he would never be caught, rapping recklessly about how he was responsible for 2 murders, these charges would prove impossible to beat. However, Suspect would end up sitting in jail, awaiting trial for over a year, and in the meantime, other members of Gxng would continue to wage war in the streets, and racking up serious charges. While Suspect was generally considered to be the leading rapper in Gxng, close runner-up was T-Scam. While Suspect's reputation as a knife-wielding murderer on the run made his music alluring to fans of the realist gangster rap, by contrast it was T-Scam's association with firearms and shootings that he always seemed to get away with that made him stand out. This contrast is even something Suspect would actually rap about in his song Z to A, saying outright that he's more of a stabber, while T-Scam prefers to snap it, a reference to loading a sawn-off shotgun. T-Scam had seemingly already been implicated in firearms snap it, a reference to loading a sword.
I said dusty.
Well, dusty.
That shit getting a job done though, you heard?
Might not.
That's not back in the... That's getting a job done.
I don't know.
Yo, gang, they getting up close, poking shit. You get up close with that.
Oh, no, you get up close with that. You put a nigga down, but you gotta get up close.
Word, because that's what don't shoot for.
You gotta get up close.
Saying outright that he's more of a stabber, while T-Scam prefers to snap it, a reference to loading a sawn-off shotgun. T-Scam had seemingly already been implicated in firearms charges after a 2020 arrest where a revolver was found buried in a park, but the following year, T-Scam would be seen on social media celebrating 4 not guilty verdicts, ping on the biggest song of his career, Freestyle, that he was looking at 15 years, but his lawyer made the charges vanish like dynamite, with this song coming out literally just a day after a mass shooting at his ops block party, where members of Gxng had publicly responded to a post on their Ops Snapchat page inviting them to the party, an incident which T-Scam would seemingly reference in his plugged-in freestyle just months later. Arguably, with Suspect captured in January 2022, T-Scam would end up being the leading flag bearer for Acting Gang's rappers, along with January 2022. T-Scam would end up being the leading flag bearer for Acting Gang's rappers, along with Broad Day Assassin. And it would seem as Suspect was about to go in, T-Scam was just coming out, as in early 2022, T-Scam would be seen on an IG.
This nigga Trap Lil Ross know what he doing. I never got this far. How did I do this part? This is 3 hours 27 minutes in. He's just putting the same shit back and forth. He already spoke about this earlier. He talked about T-Scam and Chinks when Chinks did the shit. He already spoke about those, so he just bringing it back up. He just making this shit 4 hours for no reason.
And I said the same shit I said.
Yeah, we ain't do this part though. We never got 3 hours into this.
Nah, it was probably like right here. That part probably like right there and shit like that.
What you mean?
Nah, that part that just came up saying that what would just happen and shit.
Oh yeah, we probably did do that on the other live. Yeah, you're right.
Live video, seemingly fresh home from unknown charges and appearing to be trying to keep his location secret.
I'm out here. Where you on? Wait.
Yeah,
Man just like Blitz is doing a little something for his thing, innit? I can't even give out locations, dude.
Obviously, you know the thing, come on.
You didn't see him on this live.
No, I gotta stay low.
Unfortunately, due to his reputation in the streets, T-Scam would be a high-profile target for his rival.
And it was like, turn it off.
And eventually, they would catch up to him in an unexpected location. At 6:25 p.m, Friday the 21st of January 2022, a brawl would erupt in the middle of upmarket London department store Selfridges, with the entire fight being captured on CCTV. CCTV captured the moment that Ghost, affiliated with the 51st postcode, charged at T-Scam and his friend A-Kid. The footage would capture a knife in his hand, with numerous members of each entourage scuffling all over the store in front of shocked members of the public and staff. Apparently, T-Scam and his friends were already in Selfridges when the 51st members arrived. T-Scam and his crew were surrounded and blocked by leaving from them, and at one point it appeared the confrontation was over, but as the 71st members retreated, Ghost would allegedly bring a knife from his pocket and charge towards T-Scam, who tripped over a footstool. Ghost would then slash at T-Scam and the brawl would break out. A-Kid would attempt to step between the two, but would then become a target of the attack himself. Ghost would slash A-Kid and then attempt to stab T-Scam again, making a stabbing motion no less than 4 times. A-Kid was stabbed in his left thigh, and T-Scam would be stabbed in his leg and arm, and the footage would show one of the injured men quickly removing their puffer coat and night tech tracksuit, trying to assess their injuries, all while members of staff began to surround them and shut down the area. Both would be taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and were later discharged, and T-Scam was later arrested along with Ghost. Throughout the entire situation, T-Scam allegedly had a knife in his bag, which is why he was arrested. Both were bailed pending further inquiries, and soon paperwork could circulate online with ops claiming that T-Scam had snitched. But if you read it closely, it actually just says that while receiving first aid, he says that he was shopping and got stabbed by a group of boys who had asked him who he was. Ghost ended up being identified from his mobile phone, which was tracked from Oxford Street back to his home in North London, and he would ultimately plead guilty to unlawful wounding and having an offensive weapon, and ending up being sentenced to 2.5 years for his role in the incident. But even from behind bars, Ghost would go on to drop a jailhouse freestyle referencing the incident and rapping that he caught 2 men in a day, as well as discussing how he felt after the murder of Culprit.
You see this life I live, you wouldn't understand it. Got me on the landing, call my shank, got brandished. 2 men in a day, man, the drill's fantastic. Locked up for a while, they got me on my door banging. Got me sitting down thinking about all of the bitches I gave inches. And all the ones I aimed at skull, trying to flick 'em. I swear it's so hard to get yourself out the system, it's a up cycle. I got this weapon, it beats, I call it Michael. Exercise, yo, this really packs like Skyfall. Just today, couple fake use, but I can't blame no one, cause it's all my fault. Looked up to my older brothers, cause they were my idols. When we lost hopes, I learned it's a game of survival. I was on the road when I was crashing up daily, but it was on induction when I caught S-Wavy. 2 times I'm rocking like a baby.
He talking nasty!
2 times, we done it so fatally. I don't think I can never leave the streets. For more time, it's the streets that pays me. I gotta flip this pagey to remain cakey. So much verbal in the trap, but it can never phase me. No way. Cause I know what we done in these streets, and I know what you done in the streets. Much to see, cause this war ain't a joke, you can never be weak. 5 racks in a week, you can chat to me. Cause I'm a trap boy, I learned how to fly straight. Well educated, so I always got high grade.
Even with active gang's most famous rapper Suspect now incarcerated, T-Scam and Broad Day were carrying the flag by blocks to the 71st postcode. Meanwhile, the estates from 51st hadn't had a prominent rapper get mainstream attention for several years.
So that video
leaving the beef from a music point of view fairly one-sided. However, that would all change in January 2022 when Gxng would return to the music scene after a 4-year stint in jail. He had been caught with a firearm, a loaded Walther P38 with intent to endanger life, and jailed for 8 years in 2017, allegedly receiving the heavy sentence after previous convictions for robbery and assault. His sentence was even extended by 4 months after he absconded from jail to see his family, fleeing from an open prison that he was transferred to 3 years into his sentence. Funnily enough, Gxng actually returned to prison the next day, admitting to law enforcement that he had succumbed to depression and made a big mistake. He would be shipped back to a higher security prison to serve out the remainder of his sentence plus an additional 4 months. But eventually his time would be served, with Gxng reportedly being released on license.
They said it was it's probably like one of the minimum jails. She don't be having no gate.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? You do that shit over here, you getting 7.
7.
Getting
Minimum,
7.
automatic.
7.
Nothing less.
You gotta get 7. You run away from a jail and then you get away.
October 2021, and he would appear on social media in January 2022, showcasing a fresh home freestyle that would later form part of his Mad About Bars freestyle with Kenny Allstar. It wouldn't take long for beef to ignite between active gang members and Gxng from 51st, or One Side, or OS as he would now refer to his hood as. On the 6th of January 2022, Gxng releases a new song and music video, Secrets Not Safe, on YouTube, as well as teasing it on Instagram and Facebook. The song is an aggressive diss track aimed squarely at members of active gang. On the song, he calls out a handful of active gang members who he had apparently shot at. He says that the same gun that he used to show Suspect is the same one that was used to shoot and hit Blitz, and claiming that Suspect still met up with him after the 2 71st members were killed, AK and S45, while Suspect was in prison. Even claiming that Sus had turned to Gxng for help when he got out of jail years before their beef, even in spite of the murders of AK and S45. And Gxng would also deny rumors that he had been stabbed in the chest. This song was a brutal diss track, but much like Suspect and T-Scam's music, it saw Gxng rapping with an incredibly aggressive flow over a booming UK drill beat produced to a high standard with an infectious sample. Despite the high standard of art on display, ultimately it was still a violent song that dissed rivals and areas by name. And unsurprisingly, once again, the music video was taken down from YouTube like so many before it, with YouTube citing a breach of its policy on harassment and bullying. But it wasn't just this song. Gxng would later claim that Instagram had censored both the song and deleted his account without warning after this release. But the song had already gotten out, and members from Active Gang would begin to respond, with Suspect tweeting he doesn't care what a rapper has to say and that he's still smoking on Culprit. Gxng was actually very close to Culprit before he was killed, and he was clearly upset by these comments. So he would proceed to post a damaging clip to social media aimed squarely at Suspect, depicting a young Suspect being bullied by older gang members on his block who made him do squats and hip thrusts at gunpoint, along with the caption, "Behave little man, remember who you were around here," with Suspect ultimately clapping back and saying that his old friend Gxng is mad that his new friend Culprit got killed and that he's smoking on him, and saying that Gxng is triggered. This was just weeks before Suspect was caught and shipped back to the UK, and after Suspect had taken the L of a lifetime, Gxng was loading up new music and ready to take big steps forward with his newfound music career. On January the 30th, dropping a new song, Lock and Load, along with a music video, where he refers to Suspect's debut track Way Too Charged, saying that they got back and killed people affiliated with Suspect, and now they have
the squats and hip thrusts and shit.
Well, that's when he was younger, they said.
Track Way Too Charged, saying that they got back and killed people affiliated with Suspect, and now they have members in jail smoking dead ops. And saying once again that Suspect met up with him after Blitz got shot, referring to that 2017 shooting that Gxng was rumored to have been involved in. Gxng was emerging as a very talented rapper, and he was picking incredible beats. And for the first time, there would be some genuine competition on the music side of the beef between One Side and Active Gang. On February the 13th, 2022, Gxng would make a big splash, appearing on Mad About Bars with Kenny Allstar, rapping lyrics that he had teased upon his release, coming out with brazen lyrics where he suggested that he still keeps guns while on license or probation, even though he's being watched by the police, and claiming that his 51st or One Side members are still catching their ops and selling drugs in the streets. He would also claim that Broad Day was lying when he said earlier on his song No Hook that he should have been practicing Dean, but he was in combo spraying machines, as well as dropping disrespectful bars referring to the early stages of the Camden gang war, saying that he's done drills with a 4-5 pendant, a reference to the death of S45, perhaps indicating that Gxng had actually allegedly stolen a commemorative necklace from an AG member and worn it while riding out, and seemingly referring to the shooting of Blitz again, saying he shot up his op blocks numerous times, and after hitting him in the face, he had his neighbors calling the police. A detail which is indeed confirmed in news reports and recounted in numerous witness statements relating to that incident. Gxng and One Side were beginning to pick up steam in the music game, and soon after, other prominent members affiliated with the 51st Postcode estates would make noise in music too. On February the 27th, 2022, Gutter drops his song Insight, which included censored lyrics aimed at his ops. In one lyric, he appeared to claim that his gang had killed 4 direct ops and 1 affiliate, a reference to the murders of Mitch as well as AK and S45, rapping "We got 2 in a van," and going on to say that they killed Nuts, with the 5th likely being Dirts. That track was followed up on March the 6th, 2022, when Gxng dropped his new song, Absent. The concept of the song sees Gxng playing on the fact that most of Active Gang, including Suspect, are in prison or absent, and saying that them dissing him from jail isn't valid. He also raps that he used to send Suspect to the shop, but perhaps in an effort to ensure that more of his music didn't get removed by the authorities, this song was a bit more general rather than pointing out specific ops. But it did include gritty lyrics referring broadly to shootings, multiple stabbings, and life in jail. Combine that with Gxng's aggressive flow and a hard UK drill beat with a drum pattern reminiscent of Pop Smoke's biggest hits, it was clear that Gxng was developing a winning formula for UK drill music, and he would show no signs of taking his foot off the gas. On March the 24th, 2022, Gxng drops his song Usual Culprits, a song dedicated to his fallen friend who died at the hands of Suspect and his Active Gang co-defendants, Culprit. The music video for Usual Culprits opens with Gxng visiting Culprit's grave, and he ends the video with a tribute to his fallen friend. Unsurprisingly, this song is wall-to-wall with lyrics dissing Active Gang members directly. He also shouts out Flipper, who is serving time for the murder of AK from 71st, and he ends the track by saying Suspect should have got shot too. And finally, in the outro, making a clear statement and saying rest in peace to Culprit. In many ways, Gxng was beginning to use the music to turn around the narrative about his crew from 51st being victims of the beef, as Suspect and Active Gang had become some of the most famous figures in UK drill, mainly off the back of the murder of Culprit and subsequently evading the charges for over 2 years, all while rapping about these murders and dissing Culprit by name. For many, until Gxng came along, they were completely unaware that there were actually 2 deadly sides to this beef. And now, Gxng was giving Suspect a taste of his own medicine, turning the tables and rapping recklessly with impeccable skill all about the losses that Suspect and his crew had suffered in the streets, and enjoying his freedom while Suspect now suffered in jail, awaiting his trial, and while T-Scam appeared to be in and out of jail, releasing very little music in the year of 2023. And as 2022 went on, it became very clear that this was Gxng's year. On May the 1st, 2022, Gxng drops a Plugged In with Fumes the Engineer. He also once again mocks fallen member AK, and once again denying being stabbed in the chest. He would also attempt to beat Suspect at his own game, attempting to end the song using a sophisticated run of lyrical wordplay, using all of the titles of songs from Suspect's debut album Suspicious Activity, and turning those lyrics around to diss Suspect. Hot off the back of his Plugged In, Gxng would then attempt to release another high-profile single, this time coming up against a harsh response from the police and social media giants. On August 25th, 2022, Gxng would release a new song titled Fish O Fillet, inspired by the worst item on the McDonald's menu, fillet of fish. Using the fish-based patty as a metaphor for stabbing and killing his ops, a reference to the slang splash, or swimming, to describe a stabbed enemy soaked in blood. Now interestingly, this particular song didn't include nearly as many references to murdered rivals as some of his previous songs and freestyles, but overall, there were minimal references to dead ops or specific op blocks. And by this point, having spent 8 months building up his music career, Gxng had graduated from making hood videos to full-scale, big-budget productions, with an entire video team recreating ride-out scenarios, filming in music studios with a rain machine, and professional dancers. However, regardless of the steps that Gxng had made to legitimize himself in the music industry, it seemed that the Met Police, tired with Camden drill rappers' antics, would target his music no matter the content. And Gxng would confirm that the song Fish O Fillet got taken down within 2 weeks of upload in September 2022, sharing the message sent from the channel hosting the video, GRM Daily, saying that the police had reached out directly and told them that the song has references to real gangs and crimes. Interestingly, after this latest song takedown, the story of drill music being censored will become national news. In the face of growing anger at social media companies censoring beyond the boundaries of what the law allows, a non-profit called the Center for Democracy and Technology would actually publish a report on the removal of Gxng's January song, Secret's Not Safe, claiming that the police told Meta to take down the song due to the video containing a veiled threat referencing a 2017 shooting, but Gxng appealed and Meta put the video back up. This led the police to apply pressure to Meta and make them take it down again, despite it not actually breaking Meta's policies, with the report ultimately concluding that the law enforcement were using the platform's terms of service to restrict content in a way that stepped far beyond the national law. The story of this extrajudicial censorship would soon become big news, and in response, Meta launched an internal investigation to determine if the police in this
Niggas, I need some juice in here, nigga. You wild, nigga. I need some juice in that motherfucker. You tripping. Hold on, let me get a little shot. Let me get a little cup. Fuck it. We did good. I bought this bitch last week. This shit just done today.
Better than buying, spending like the 50, 60.
Yeah, keep spending 50 every day. Yeah, just get the 100, 20.
Every other day is still good.
Yeah, probably buy no one of them shits tomorrow.
and in response, Meta launched an internal investigation to determine if the police in this case had actually overstepped their powers, with Meta later revealing that they had removed 52 posts, including Gxng's song manually, and another 112 posts relating to his music, which were removed by automated systems. Meta would eventually escalate the decision to their own oversight board, and in the end, Meta's oversight board would overturn the decision and reinstate the video against the wishes of the police, saying that the removals were a mistake, as the post did not violate Meta's community guidelines and that they were essentially allowing a police operation to censor free speech. Interestingly, Meta's investigation into the issue found that the Met Police in this campaign of systemic oppression of freedom of speech had actually had 255 music videos removed, all of which were drill music. Ironically, the hype around the heavy-handed enforcement of these takedowns soon became national news and led to numerous media organizations profiling Gxng, only boosting his exposure and legitimizing him in the mainstream media, with one particularly high-production mini-documentary being made about Gxng for the BBC, which profiled his creative approach to marketing the song that was ultimately taken down. Ironically, even the reinstatement and extra publicity Gxng received in the aftermath stoked national outrage, as one Daily Mail article argued rather absurdly that left-leaning liberals and their chums were conspiring to platform dangerous gang members.
Killer said they got the bitches 2 for $6 right now.
2 for $6, gang. My grandma like them shits.
She like them shits? Grandma fuck with them?
Yeah, she love them shits.
Hit them with a big button. You get the up it.
That left-leaning liberals and their chums were conspiring to platform dangerous gang members, in an article which was arguably racist, even describing Gxng as having a Ali G-style accent in his BBC interview. After all of this, Gxng would reflect on his experiences and claim to make an effort to clean up his lyrics to avoid getting his songs taken down. He would also reveal that since the police discovered that he's making music, they've made it part of his license or bail conditions not to say certain things. Going forward, Gxng would make light of these restrictive conditions on his art, even recording a skit mocking the police's heavy-handed approach to shutting down his music.
Gxng,
What, man?
you're breaching your license conditions. You can't be putting up gun signs.
Oh, allow it, bro. I beg you, off.
Ironically, however, with the police seemingly putting all of their attention on reading lyrics made by Gxng on one side, they would fail to pay close attention to their most dangerous rivals from 71st, and soon we would see one of the most shocking public incidents targeting one side members, which would make national news. On the 14th of January 2023, around 300 people were attending the funeral service of Sarah Sanchez and her mother, Frisia Calderon, who had both died less than 1 month apart. Frisia had died suddenly from a rare blood clot upon arrival at Heathrow Airport from Colombia, and Sarah died from leukemia, which she had been suffering from for 3 years. Their deaths themselves were not gang-related in any way, and they were just an unfortunate blood clot upon arrival at Heathrow Airport from Colombia, and Sarah died from leukemia, which she had been suffering from for 3 years. Their deaths themselves were not gang-related in any way, and they were just an unfortunate tragedy within the community. But according to rumours, the girl involved in the case had connection to gang members from 51st who were due to attend the funeral. The funeral was taking place at St. Aloysius Church on Phoenix Road in Houston, when shortly before 1:30 p.m, a black Toyota CHR drove past with someone shooting out of the car in the direction of the people crowded at the funeral with a shotgun. 6 people were injured, and the shooting audio and its aftermath were captured on CCTV.
Wow. Come on, bro. That was some stupid shit, man. Like, come on, bro. You gonna go shoot at a 2 ladies' funeral? Like, If it was like a nigga from the gang or opposite gang funeral, I understand it. But you going to shoot up 2 females? Like, come on, bro. That shit is whack. That shit
said
is.
she was banging, though, right?
Nah.
They didn't say she was a part of the gang?
From the area or something? I think they said that was his cousins or something, or his family, Shanks. I don't think, yeah, bro, that shit, nah, bro. I don't think them that bitch had cancer and motherfucking blood clot. They wasn't banging, nigga. Motherfucker sick. The motherfucker sick, nigga. You talking about they in the gang, nigga. Nah, them niggas sick, nigga.
Crazy.
Nah, man, I ain't jacking that. You don't shoot at no motherfucker.
Nah, you don't.
Yeah, if it was a nigga, if it was one of the ops funeral, then it's fair game. It's fair game. But it's a nigga family member that you got beef with. You going to shoot at? Like, come on, bro. Come on, my nigga.
Family member ain't got nothing to do with nothing, bro.
That's mad, bro. Stupid niggas, man. Young niggas. This, 4 women and 2 children.
As was mobile phone footage captured from inside the church, showing panic unfolding after this drive-by mass shooting had taken place. An air ambulance would attend the scene and be filmed arriving to the church by members of the public waiting outside. Among the casualties, there was a 7-year-old girl who was seriously injured, an 11-year-old girl who suffered a leg injury but was discharged within days, a 48-year-old woman who suffered life-changing injuries, and 3 women aged 54, 41, 21 who were taken to hospital. All injuries would fortunately prove non-fatal. The only people in the attack who were injured were innocent women who had simply come to pay their respects. This was a brutal and senseless shooting and would make international news with coverage on major broadcasters Sky News and Channel 4.
A peaceful memorial service that ended like this.
All females died.
All females, bro, and 2 of them is kids. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Niggas are shooting recklessly.
As mourners ran screaming after a suspected drive-by shooting outside a church in Houston.
I can't even say
6 people were injured, 4 women and a 7-year-old girl in a life-threatening condition.
You go to jail, bro, and you tell a nigga something. You tell a nigga what you in there for. They know what you in there for, and they know you in there for that. Niggas may be on your heels. Feel me? You just shooting recklessly. Don't care who you about to hit. Like, feel me? Then you end up hitting 4 females, 2 of them is kids, nigga.
6 females.
Feel me? You know niggas in there feeling some type of.
How about it was 1 boy got hit?
Yeah, it was 6. No, it was 6.
All females though.
All females.
Yeah, that's mad.
2 kids got hit. You know, if them niggas go to jail, whatever, niggas in jail is gonna be all them niggas. Niggas with kids and shit. Be like, nigga, you had a kid?
Day room.
A 12-year-old's also been discharged from hospital with a minor leg injury. The memorial service was that of a mother and daughter who died within a month of each other last year. 20-year-old Sarah Sanchez passed away from leukemia in November. As behind the police cordon, forensic officers assessed the scene and looked for evidence, an appeal for information went out to the community to help bring justice to those responsible.
So far, the Met Police have told journalists that shots were fired from a moving vehicle. They've identified the model of the car and the type of gun used. We know that the black Toyota was driving this way towards the church. There were people gathered outside after the memorial service, and then whoever was in the car pulled out a shotgun and sprayed pellets into the crowd.
Channel 4 would speak to the shocked locals who couldn't believe such a brazen attack had taken place in central London.
Dorothea Hackman runs the food bank next door to the church.
A gun fired in broad daylight on our streets. The only person I've spoken to was utterly traumatized by it.
And they were inside or outside?
Inside.
Dorothea describes how people from the service were sprinting away from the church in fear.
And the person that you spoke to, how are they feeling?
So shaken that I don't think she'll come outdoors for a long time.
With local MP and Labour Party leader Keir Starmer once again appearing at the scene and speaking out on the incident to the news, calling for tougher gun laws.
This morning, the Labour leader Keir Starmer went to a briefing on the shooting. Camden is his constituency, and he nodded to the bigger picture.
I've always said we should toughen up our gun laws. I mean, the tragic incident in my constituency yesterday is ongoing. Our thoughts are, of course, with all those concerned.
A funeral shooting of this sort was reminiscent of the shooting at the funeral of Chicago gangster disciple Dusky the Man.
A local musician known as Dusky the Man was letting out. His real name is Van Treese Christ. He was killed by gunfire earlier this month. Witnesses today heard a couple of shots at first, apparently fired into the crowd. Then many more, several dozen more shots. Investigators have placed markers indicating where shell casings are located, but so far they have no one in custody.
A level of violence rarely seen on the streets of London. Many people would initially believe that this brazen shooting was cartel-related due to Frisia's deceased husband's confirmed connections to the Colombian Cali cartel, as her husband Carlos was apparently jailed in the UK for helping launder money for a drug gang with connections to the cartel. However, months would pass before an alternative narrative would emerge that some say connect this incident to the ongoing gang war in Camden. But before the police would identify a suspect in that case, the war in Camden would play out in songs as much as it would in the streets. With suspects still in jail, facing a potentially huge sentence, the only rappers in active gangs still free with a significant buzz were T-Scam and Broad Day, the latter of which, to be fair, had a successful 2022, releasing high-profile songs like the Super Gremlin remix with Lil Dots, which became his most viewed music video to date, as well as dropping a successful plugged-in session with Fumes the Engineer, which racked up an impressive 1.5 million views. But ultimately, the rise of Gxng had proven to be unstoppable. On February the 24th, 2023, Gxng would release his debut project, One-Sided Story, with the title referencing the idea that until he got out of jail, people had only really understood the gang war in Camden from the perspective of Suspect, an active gang. And this project included many of the tracks that we've already discussed in this chapter, like Secrets Not Safe, Usual Culprits, and Fisho Fillet, which all painted a picture of the 51st or one-side side of the war and dropped maximum disrespect towards active gang and its members. But in addition to the content on the album discussing the intricacies of Camden's gang politics, overall it was an incredible body of work, as by this point only Suspect, after getting captured, had released a full album in the form of Suspicious Activity. However, now Gxng had dropped off a full-length 17-track album which was solid both lyrically and production-wise from start to finish, with other particular standout tracks being Trap Fashion and Levels, which are personal favourites of mine. However, despite dropping off this full-length and high-quality body of work, and the following month Gxng would return to the booth, releasing more music that seemed to acknowledge the funeral shooting that was rumoured to be targeting One-Side members. On March the 5th, 2023, Gxng drops a Daily Duppy freestyle where he seemingly calls this incident a failed mission, admonishing his ops and saying that they only hit kids and girls. And Gxng would go on to mock Suspect following his latest release, taking to Snapchat days later, saying that he used to send Suspect to the shops and let him keep the change. That same month, on March the 15th, 2023, T-Scam drops a fresh plugged-in freestyle with Fumes the Engineer, dissing Gxng and referencing his area and album title One-Sided Story, and saying his one-sided story will have a sad ending, and going on to say when he's in one side, he shoots on sight, even claiming that Gxng must be sour because when he was fresh home from jail, he had to lay flowers at Culprit's grave because active gang members killed him, with this being a direct reference to the music video Gxng had made for his track Usual Culprits, where he laid flowers on Culprit's grave, as well as rapping Free Yevs, who had earlier gone to that music video shoot in 51st and stabbed someone. T-Scam would end the verse saying that he stabbed, and even claiming that his mother was there to witness it, a bar that was so brutal even Fumes the Engineer had to get up and walk out of his chair after hearing it. Whilst the freestyle itself didn't reference the shooting of the funeral,
Fumes be on dead, my nigga. My nigga Fumes got up and walked away. Yo, nah. My nigga Fumes got up and walked away, nigga.
and even claiming that his mother was there to witness it, a bar that was so brutal even Fumes the Engineer had to get up and walk out of his chair after hearing it. Whilst the freestyle itself didn't reference the shooting at the funeral, Gxng had seemingly referenced it in his Daily Duppy, and in the days following the release of that plugged in, another freestyle from T-Scam would leak online titled One Side Ain't Safe, which included lyrics describing an incident where they nearly killed Gxng, and saying, once again, that Hitman from Active Gang nearly killed him. But worst of all, the song also featured a hook where T-Scam would rap that his ops don't know how to protect their girls, a lyric which some people believed was another direct reference to that funeral shooting. One Side Ain't Safe was never released as an official song, but ultimately, just the day after T-Scam's Plugged In released, London police would swoop in and take him off the streets. As on March the 16th, 2023, Active Gang's T-Scams and another man by the name of Gxng would be arrested in connection to the shooting, with the footage of their arrest by an armed unit going viral on UK drill pages.
They got the big ass guns.
It's believed 3 men were accused of playing a role in the funeral shooting, one of them being Gxng. Each of them were charged with 6 counts of Section 18 wounding with intent. One of those co-defendants appears at Willesden Magistrate Courts on March the 15th, 2023, charged with possession of a shotgun with intent to endanger life and 6 counts of conspiracy to wound with intent. Gxng and Reeks, however, would fail to appear at this court date, later appearing at Harrow Crown Court for a plea hearing alongside the co-defendant. A provisional trial date was set for late 2023, and the prosecutors say that they plan on using 4 key strands of evidence: gang activity, CCTV, cell site, and car data as forensic evidence. Someone had posted to Reddit that Gxng had actually made an application for bail for the offence, but as it currently stands, it appears that he is still incarcerated, and due to Harrow Crown Court currently being closed due to unsafe concrete being found in the building, it's unclear whether this trial will be taking place anytime soon. At the time of writing this, it's still unclear what the outcome of that case is going to be, and once again, it's important to remember, at this stage, these are only allegations. Gxng and his co-defendants are innocent until proven guilty, and it's highly possible that they may have evidence that proves they had nothing to do with the crimes they're being accused of. But what we do know, however, is the outcome of Suspect's trial. After being captured in 2022 and left in jail for over a year to await trial, in March 2023, Gxng's most prominent member, who had evaded the police for 2 years, all while bragging about the murders that he did to an audience of millions, would finally face justice. And sadly for him, he would indeed get what he deserved. After playing an active role in the murders of his gang rivals, C-Miz and Culprit, Suspect and S-Wavy of Gxng had fled to Kenya, and Suspect managed to go on the musical run of a lifetime, spending about 2 years and 4 months recording music, openly bragging about the murders he'd committed in gruesome detail, all the while evading and taunting the police who were desperately trying to solve this case. Meanwhile, prominent Gxng member Armed Response, or AR, failed to get out of the country before the police could find him, ultimately getting convicted and sentenced to life in prison. By the time Suspect had been caught and extradited back to the UK, it seemed like AR had settled into his incarceration. He would go live seemingly from inside his cell on June the 4th, 2022, smiling as commenters bring up the deaths of C-Miz and Culprit. He was surrounded by goons bumping Youngboy's song Forgiato, where he claimed to have killed over 7 people.
What's your name? What's your name? AR from the AGB Act. I said I got C-Miz, you know. Culprit pack. Yeah, man. AR.
Nigga said the coke.
Sold him AR, fam.
This was the fate that Suspect was potentially facing, and after his extradition in January, 6 months later, around the time of AR's live, Suspect would seemingly also get access to the internet, beginning to post to Twitter again in June and August of 2022, tweeting boastfully about how his ops still mentioned his name after the murders he committed, tweeting Free SS in reference to himself and S-Wavy, who along with SY, who was still on the run in Somalia at this point, previously made up the deadly trio Triple S. Suspect would seemingly reflect on some of the clout-chasing slip-ups that landed him in jail, tweeting, "God forgive me for getting lost in the source," and social media blurring too many lines, as well as tweets indicating he feels like his life has been a movie, as well as another optimistic post suggesting that he believes he'll be free by 2023. Later, he would go on a series of tweets suggesting that he's having dark thoughts that he cannot say out loud or he'll be sectioned under the Mental Health Act, as well as bigging himself up, saying he's really that guy, just wait and see, perhaps another indication that he thought he might be able to beat these charges. Perhaps that explains his next tweet, appearing to suggest that he's not really a killer and that he's just a music performer, a villain character, with drill music being all entertainment. Going on to reach pretty hard with a statement saying how if an actor catches a case, they won't play his movie in court, but they're going to play Suspect's music. He was seemingly lacking the self-awareness to really see the difference between a trained actor playing a character in a narrative work of fiction and the confessional drill raps of a man who blatantly committed murder and then made songs detailing the gruesome and true details of that murder. Many pictures and videos of Suspect from behind bars would emerge while he awaited trial, like this video where he's seen as part of a crew throwing up Gxng signs while somebody gets a beating in jail. Another picture of him would surface on broad day Snapchat with the caption, "Free the Mastermind," and another iconic photo of him living good in his cell wearing a Versace bathrobe. He would even record multiple freestyles via prison phones, which were uploaded online.
Sounds like my lyricism. I told bro, be this that before your name, that's some constructive criticism. Mum said I never listen. Son, how you back in prison? I ain't have a father figure. Me and gang went different vision. Always trust my intuition. Never make a split decision. Follow first, forgot the second. But just learn from your lessons. Alhamdulillah, count my blessings. Got a kind of ammunition. If you lose the bells in the up, call me never missing. Most loved, most hated, most wanted, most rated. Thankful for the real and genuine, but trust me, most fake it. From a place if you slip, take your soul taken. I made more moves, more raps, and more pagans. Only time will tell, jail made me more patient. Be my brother to my brothers, I'll be home soon. Until then, reminisce to my old tunes. 3 years, 3 blitz with my whole crew, gang.
Pretty serious, I'm perfect from the waist down. I ain't trying to waste time. I heard through the grapevine. I'm the man behind the plan. I'm the man behind your bitch when you call her trying to FaceTime. Backshot. The booty clapping when she face down. Headshot. The gun clapping till he face down. Hands down. I'm one of the villains to touch your mic. Red dot. Hands up. Don't move or to take your life. Have to stuck in a sand crew. Thinking wrong was right. So I had to fight. I went home a different guy. Money give me appetite. Love the calamari bites. We don't catch. Feelings we catch. Then we catching flight. Tech 3, Tech 9, technique. Bullseye. She'll see a hole just for me. That's a true lie. Girl trip, I know what these hoes do in Dubai. Boys trip, the steppers low, looking for a new high. Numb to the pain, I'm surprised, I'm so sane. Punchy on chain, I was SVR range. It was not nice, it's the chap in the rain. Mom, there's no win in the game.
However, Heckwater member C2, who Suspect had previously mocked in a music video for working as a model, would post multiple times alluding to Suspect being jumped and beaten up in prison, saying that he's having a tough time in jail, and that there had been suspicious activity on Gxng. Seemingly in response, Suspect would post mocking C2, posting a picture of him in a wig and saying that he likes to feel like a little lady, and congratulating him on trying to find himself and acting like a bad boy this year. C2, apparently in jail too during this time, would end up making his own jailhouse freestyle, named after Suspect's hit song Caught in the Rain, dissing dead ops from active gang. Despite the daily struggles of being the most wanted member of a prominent gang in jail, Suspect appeared to be optimistic while in prison, posting Instagram replies that he would be at Wireless Festival the next year, and that he would even be home soon. In November, Suspect would freestyle for his fellow inmates as they gathered around and cheered him on.
Chat you want, but you can't get your bros back. Run the streets, got chinged up. Parts where his hair won't grow back. Hold that. Put up toast like Joe Van and got flares like Siemens eyes. I don't wanna roll back. Bro said Mendig is done. I asked him, what does that mean? Bro, our shanks are coming and squeeze them and give it a clean.
It would be over a year that Suspect would wait in jail for his trial before the day would finally come. He and S-Wavy would file not guilty pleas in June 2022, and so the trial for the murder of Alex Smith, aka Culprit, would begin on the 27th of March 2023 at the Old Bailey, and pictures would emerge showing Suspect in the dock in court smiling. Judge Sarah Monroe KC was the judge on the case. She had gained national attention earlier in the year, making history being the first ever judge to hand down a sentence in a case that was televised live.
The sentence I pass upon you is therefore one of life imprisonment.
Initial reports on social media would circulate claiming that the pair would not be identified by their rap aliases, nor would their lyrics or music be used in court at all, as well as suggesting that the prosecution would mainly rely on cell site data to put Suspect at the scene, with other reports suggesting this wasn't accurate and that witnesses might not be able to identify Suspect. It would turn out that a lot of this social media reporting suggesting that the prosecution was struggling was complete cope. This same account also claimed that there was a man in the courtroom wearing a trap star puffer jacket and that he understood the culture and was going to get Suspect off. Now, it's unclear whether or not this was complete trolling or whether there was some truth to it, but due to these posts, many members of the UK drill subreddit and community were led to believe that Suspect had a much higher chance of freedom than he really did. On May the 10th, just days before the verdict, Suspect would be seen on social media FaceTiming his Kenyan wife Halima. Now, I wasn't able to find full court documents relating to the trial publicly, so it's unclear exactly what evidence was used against him, but some crime Twitter pages tweeted that a lot of interesting details came up during the trial. They used Suspect's many convictions as a youth offender, bringing up that he had a total of 18 convictions for 41 offences prior to the murder. They would also be told details about the ongoing gang war in Camden, which Suspect and Culprit had both been involved in. The court would also hear a victim impact statement from Culprit's mother, who said that she was haunted by the thought of her son being hunted by a pack of knife-wielding gangsters. However, Suspect's defence would emphasise that Suspect grew up in foster care and did not have intent to kill. The court would hear about how Suspect and S-Wavy fled the country after the murder and bragged about the murder in several songs, with Culprit's mother making direct references to lyrics from his freestyle, with it being reported that that song had been analysed in detail in court, with it likely that these lyrics about tripping up ops and stabbing them in the chest and leaving estates red tape no doubt harmed his case dramatically. It's ironic that this freestyle that ended with him rapping about his op that didn't make it, and now that he's rapping about the murder he might make it, ended up sealing his fate. Other reports on social media that can't be verified suggested that numerous songs were played in court and that the judge was in disbelief when she heard them, specifically lyrics such as who is the culprit, and it's ironic that they suspect me. Before the verdict, Suspect would post a message to his YouTube channel showing crossed fingers and heart emojis, but unfortunately for Suspect, his luck would finally run out. In the end, on the 10th of May 2023, both Suspect and S. Wavy would be found guilty for the murder of Alex Smith, after which they refused to participate in proceedings, failing to attend the sentencing. So, 2 days later, the sentence would be handed down in their absence, with Suspect getting life with a minimum of 24 years, and S. Wavy receiving a minimum of 23 years. Apparently the judge even admonished Suspect and S. Wavy for making music celebrating the death of culprit during the sentencing. Friends and affiliates would post reacting to this news, and later, reporting would suggest that neither Suspect or S. Wavy showed any remorse or explanation for their crimes throughout the trial, and footage of Suspect settling into life in prison with Triggy would circulate after the sentencing, and eventually a picture would even surface showing Active Gang's most prominent rappers, T-Scam and Suspect, both together in jail. Meanwhile, SY, who had still managed to evade justice in Somalia, would post to his Snapchat reacting to the news with heartbreak emojis and calling to free the innocent. Ultimately, Suspect's wild story had finally come to an end, and despite what any Active Gang fans might say, finally justice had been delivered for Alex Smith, aka Culprit. And after spending 2 years and 4 months running free and mocking the death of this young man, now Suspect would have to face the next 24 years in a jail cell for what he had done on the 12th of August 2019.
Trap Law Ross.
He a rat, man.
He the nigga who did the shit on King Ron and all them.
My nigga, he's wild right now.
2 men have been stabbed to death in 2 separate attacks in Kentish Town in North London last night. The body of the first victim, believed to be in his late teens, was found a couple of hours before police discovered the second victim, who's thought to be in his 20s. Investigating officers...
Local residents have said that they saw the mother of the teenager being comforted by the police. She was in an emotional state.
We want to reassure every Camden resident that the safety of our communities is our highest priority.
People to go to mass, children, say stop please.
We're talking to the family and local residents on the estate, say they're shocked and saddened to what's happened, but say this is a reality of living in this area.
And we are directing all of our attention and resources to keep you safe.
You're expecting this shit to stop. Niggas is dying.
They are going to go out and kill any Somali in retaliation.
Basically, if you're Somali, and you're around Camden, get back inside.
Alex Smith was just 16 years old when he was fatally stabbed on August 12th, 2019 on the Regent's Park estate in Camden.
We do now seem to hear about people being shot dead, guns being fired in parts of North London. It's all that matters.
St Aloysius Church, there is panic.
Shocking footage shows the moment the brawl exploded in front of horrified shoppers at the luxury London flagship store.
Whoever was in the car pulled out a shotgun and sprayed pellets into the crowd.
Our thoughts are, of course, with all those concerned.
2 murder fugitives who were arrested in Nairobi over the weekend have been extradited to face trial in the UK.
Brother Siad Abdelhakim Mahmoud was arrested in the early mornings yesterday around 7 a.m.
The end. That shit was crazy. That shit was crazy. Yeah.
Careless.
Yeah, Raw. We did it, y'all. I didn't think we was gonna be able to do it. We did it. We did this shit, and we did it like on some like good time, and like we ain't take 10 weeks to finish this shit. You know, niggas should be like, that nigga take like a month to finish that shit. We finished this shit like in a week, for real.
Not even, right?
Probably like a week.